Francis also did not mention a recent military crackdown on the Rohingya described by the UN as a textbook campaign of ethnic cleansing as he delivered a speech to Burma's civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi and other diplomats in the capital Naypyitaw. But he lamented how Burma's people have suffered and continue to suffer from civil conflict and hostilities, and insisted that everyone who calls Burma home deserves to have their basic human rights and dignity guaranteed. Pope Francis talks to Myanmar's President Htin Kyaw during their meeting at the presidential palace in Naypyitaw, Myanmar. Rohingya Muslims have faced state-supported discrimination in the predominantly Buddhist country for decades, deprived of citizenship and unable to access basic services such as education and healthcare. In August, the army began what it called clearance operations in Rakhine state following an attack on police posts by Rohingya insurgents. The violence, looting and burning of villages has forced more than 620,000 Rohingya to flee to Bangladesh. In the most anticipated speech of his week-long trip to Burma and Bangladesh, Francis expressed support for Ms. Suu Kyi's efforts to bring about reconciliation among different groups after decades of military dictatorship, and insisted that religious differences must never be a cause for division or distrust. Pope Francis and Myanmar's President Htin Kyaw Center walk past Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin, right, as they meet at Naypyitaw's presidential palace. Myanmar, the future of Burma must be peace, a peace based on respect for the dignity and rights of each member of society, respect for each ethnic group and its identity, respect for the rule of law, and respect for a democratic order that enables each individual and every group, none excluded, to offer its legitimate contribution to the common good, he said. His avoidance of the term Rohingya and his encouragement for Ms. Suu Kyi's government disappointed activists and human rights groups who have criticized her for what they consider a weak response to the military crackdown. Phil Robertson, Deputy Director of Human Rights Watch Asia Division, said the Rohingya have been stripped of so many things but their name should never be one of them, and we hope that the Pope will use the word Rohingya in his Mass on Wednesday. Kyaw Naring, a Rohingya Muslim who lives in a camp in Rakhine State, said we were very happy and hopeful on his visit. But since the Pope is not allowed to call out the name Rohingya, we wonder how bad the human rights situation is in Myanmar, Burma. He is the holiest man in the world, but it's so sad to see that even the holiest man cannot call our identity. Pope Francis meets with Myanmar's leader Aung San Suu Kyi in Naypyitaw, Myanmar. The term Rohingya is shunned by many in Burma because the ethnic group is not a recognized minority in the country. Ms. Suu Kyi referred to the situation in the Rakhine in her speech to Francis in the huge conference center in Naypyitaw, but used the conflict as an opportunity to thank those who have supported the government as it seeks to address long-standing issues, social, economic and political, that have eroded trust and understanding, harmony and cooperation in Rakhine. She said the government's aim is to carry forward the peace process and strengthen Burma's diversity by protecting rights, fostering tolerance, ensuring security for all. Francis arrived in Naypyitaw after meeting leaders of Burma's different religious groups, and also a prominent but controversial Buddhist leader who has criticized the Rohingya. The Pope stressed a message of unity in diversity in his 40-minute meeting with Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Christian and Jewish leaders, and told them they should work together to rebuild the country, Vatican spokesman Greg Burke said. Francis' meeting with Buddhist monk Sitagu Sayadaw was undertaken in an effort to encourage peace and fraternal coexistence as the only way ahead, Mr. Burke said.